Today I'm going to show you how to do a palette knife painting of a night cityscape. I based mine on a photo I took in my city downtown at night, but you can apply these techniques to any night scene, even one from your imagination. I'm using acrylic paints and I started with a solid black background. I'm keeping my color palette to beige, cadmium red, teal, yellow ochre, and white. Lightly sketching some basic boundary lines first with a white charcoal pencil helps keep the painting on track as you work. First, I laid down a base coat of beige where the architecture comes forward from the dark. I've added a bit of water to my paint so you can still see some of the black through. I'm using the flat side of my knife to smear the paint and fill in larger areas, and the thin side and tip for corners and edges. Next, I'm creating a base for the sidewalks in a similar way. Working wet on wet, I'm blending a teal glow where it is present according to my reference. Without cleaning my knife, I'm streaking white where there are more highlights present. I'm also blending some more black into the wet beige paint where there are deeper shadows. Now I'm going to add some details. I've mixed a lighter teal, and I'm using the tip of my knife, dragging it downward in short strokes to create the impression of windows. Using the side of the knife, I'm streaking in highlight lines to imply the details on the buildings and sharpen their edges. If your paint isn't flowing and is really globbing up as you're trying to make thin lines, add a bit of water for even, fine lines. In my original photo, there's a yellowish glow reflected on the buildings on the right and also going onto the street. So I'm blocking that in next as well as adding some windows. It had just rained that night, so the street was very reflective. I'm blending in some white to show that. I'm using the tip of my knife, dragging horizontally to have more control over the amount of white that is smeared on the surface. Then I'm dipping my palette knife in some water and using that to blur the edges. There are some street lights that are reflecting different colors onto the street, so I'm adding those as well, blending them in with a bit of white to accentuate the reflective quality. Next, I'm dotting in the street lamps, tapping with the tip of my knife. I've dragged the white straight down underneath to show the reflections. You can use the side of your knife to draw out some light rays from the circle of white paint that you've made. Now that the beige has had time to dry, I'm using my black to create details and window markings, same as before, only with this shadow color this time. I'm adding some highlights around the lowlights where needed to bring out the forms. I'm also now adding in some of the larger street lights that are more in the forefront. I'm making the poles using the side of my palette knife. Similar to traditional brush painting, you usually want to work from the background to the foreground. Impressionistic cityscapes are pretty simple and fun to do once you try it. I hope you give this a go, either following along or picking your own favorite city. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and let me know what other types of palette knife paintings you want to see me demo in the future. Thanks for watching!